Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. This is a postscript to my video that I posted a few days ago called Post Dancing Analysis, because I forgot to put one of the funniest things that actually happened during the evening. You know, apart from my weird tossing ex-lover's cousin stalking me all night, which was kind of cute in a way. It was kind of almost sweet. It was almost endearing. I choose to look at it that way because he didn't actually try and engage with me or cause me any actual real harm, you know. But I forgot to mention the funny thing that happened. It was like various entities, humans and I presume non-human, were testing me in that club, which is weird because it wasn't my first time there. You know, I've gone there a few times over the years. I can't exactly say I'm a regular customer because I usually, you know, maintain my little spot at, you know, previously until recently at the Treasury Casino at the Livewire Bar. But anyway, it was really quite amusing because it was very packed in and there were a couple of weird things that happened, which I saw for what it was obvious various of the regular crowd trying to test me or intimidate me or harass me and just play their twisted little demonic game, right? So I think I did state in the previous video about this tall, bikey type with really long hair standing behind me that poked me in the back with two fingers like two barrels of a gun poking you in the back, right? On my bikie jacket, which is a big no-no. You don't touch someone's jacket. But it was crowded, so, you know, it's a bit hard to avoid having someone touch your jacket. But anyway, when I looked back at him, he looked like an old friend of mine called Pedro, who was crazy and an associate of a certain clubhouse. And did I mention crazy? But who absolutely loved me. He actually thought I was the bee's knees. So I see this guy looked a bit like Pedro and I'm like, oh, here we go. It's on for young and old. And so as he walked past me, I was so annoyed that he poked me in the back with my jacket, wanting me to move out of the way. Instead of saying, oh, excuse me, or I need to get past, poking me with his fingers, both barrels on my back, right? Probably thinking it was cool and intimidate the old lady, you know, as people do. So anyway, I just reached out and formed a kind of a claw with my hand and reached out. He's like taller, he's nearly as tall as Pedro. Pedro was very tall, I think he was 6'3". And I just reached out and just went like that, like between his shoulders at the base of his neck, just to let him know, don't poke me in the back, as I'll poke you in the back and we'll be poking each other. It was kind of that's my sense of humour anyway. I thought it was actually hilarious, but he was like, kept walking, and then he goes onto the stage and picks up the guitar, and I thought, oh great, I've made an enemy of this guy that happens to be friends with the band and he's a musician and plays with them. So I make enemies everywhere I go because I won't be bullied or intimidated because someone happens to be a man and a bikie with long hair. Like, big fucking deal. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, darlings. But anyway, so the other memory, I'm actually literally sitting here watching Good Omens. And it was season 2, episode 6, where they're wanting to have a war between hell and heaven. And I'm laughing so much about it because, you know, it's a bit like that. We're in a full-blown spiritual war everywhere we go now, not just at the casino or the clubs or the pubs, but the supermarket, anywhere where humans mingle. There seems to be some kind of dark energy permeating all around it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not that much of a light worker. I mean, I've got a hellion of a temper too. I can be a bit fucking dark too. So I'm not stating that I'm all Miss Goody Two Shoes either. But it was just so weird how they were trying to like needle me and harass me in a way. So anyway, so that happened with that big tall guy, the muso. Didn't catch his, I think his name was Alex, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I look over to my right, and it was very crowded, very, very crowded in the club. And there's another quite tall, blonde, long-haired, heavy metal type guy glaring at me. He was actually quite hostile. I thought, why are you so fucking hostile? I don't even know you. Like, I hate that when people behave like that. They're not cool. They just look like wankers, you know? So anyway, I just rolled my eyes, didn't engage, didn't look at them. I can't be bothered with people that are like nasty when they don't even know, they don't have a history with you, they've got no beef with you, they're just downright freaking, you know, malevolent turds from woe to go. So he's like, and anyway, so I don't know if these other blokes were friends of the nasty blonde guy, but I was sort of halfway through the evening, I'm sort of looking straight ahead, dancing, because I'm focusing on looking at the band and looking around my immediate vicinity and observing Chris, the cousin of the ex, you know, cycling around me all night long like a bee to the honey, like a moth to the flame. And I'm thinking, well, in a way, it's a good thing he's doing that, because it's just so weird and inappropriate, kind of weird, or will unhinge anyone with any real malevolent intent, right? Because I'll be like, who's that guy and why is he hanging around that chick, you know? I don't even know if that was his intention, to be a protective device, but I thought, you know, my angels work in mysterious ways, and sometimes they position my enemies in such a way that they take the fall for me at times. It's been known to happen. Anyway, so the funny thing was, I wasn't feeling any enmity to him either. I was just observing the odd behaviours, right? It was actually like being in a full-blown horror movie scenario, which I'm well accustomed to, having watched many horror movies, and I'm well aware that modern contemporary society is invaded now, and that human beings aren't behaving normally anymore. And you know why, you know my thoughts on why that is. We don't need to go into the minutiae of that, because we all freaking know, don't we? So anyway, but I was being harassed by this stupid woman that kept pushing her bum into me. Skinny little freaking Stepford wife type, thought she was just so superior because she was young and pretty and skinny. Like, they're just pathetic, aren't they? Like, they just make you want to vomit, some of these people. But anyway, so I was ignoring her studiously, thinking what a toss she was. But still having a good time. Like, don't get me wrong, I had a lovely evening in spite of all the testing and the weirdness from all the Luciferian types and the demonic infested, Mother Hydra baby infested types, you know. Wasn't the least bit bothered. I'm here to have a good time. I'm not interested in your stupid little infantile games. So next thing I know, there's these two younger men in front of me. They would have been early to mid 30s, or maybe around about my daughter's age even. She's 37, nearly 38. No, I think they were a bit younger than her. I think they were more 33, 34 age group. And they weren't tall, these boys, well, compared to me, they're boys. These young men. And one was sort of a bit, I can't remember if he was balding or he had a sort of a crew cut, and I think he was a bit balding actually. Anyway, he looks up at me. I felt like they were really shorter than me, but I don't know if I'm remembering that wrong. They weren't tall. We're about eyeball to eyeball. But he sort of looks up at me, like, gives me this condescending, nasty little look. And he's looking at his mate, and his mate looks up at me too. And I just look at both of them, and I just keep dancing. Okay, what's all this about, kind of thing? But I'm minding my own business. I was very in my own energy, my own power that night, which was good, because you need to be when you're in a crowded club like that and you're surrounded by fucking idiots. So anyway, the funny thing was, the young man on the right that was slightly balding looks at me again, And I can't remember what song it was. It was because Alter Egos were playing, they play harder rock songs, which was great. I liked it. I enjoyed that. I think it was one of, it wasn't Blink 182. Oh, come on, what's the name of that band? It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, it was quite a hard rock song. Anyway, so the young bloke on the right, standing right in front of me, looks at me again and puts his head back and starts screaming. Okay. And his mates looking at him and going, and like kind of laughing because they thought that would unhinge me, that he's doing this. Wasn't a howl. I mean, a howl would have been funny, actually. I would have probably joined him in the howl. He's like just doing this. And then he looks at me to see if I'm intimidated, right? This is the funny thing. It's like, it was just so infantile and childish. And I mean, this is straight out of a horror movie. Like, these people were trying to freak me out. And they don't know that if anything, I should be there freaking them out, right? I should have just started speaking Hebrew and saying blessings and prayers or something. Watch them all go, go running. Anyway, it was hilarious. So anyway, he's screaming like this. And I'm looking at him, watching like this. Very patiently, like, are you done yet? And he's looking up at me. So then he stops and he looks at me as if to say, why aren't you freaked out, kind of thing. So I lean over and in a really deep voice, I said, oh yeah, mate, yeah. I remember my first orgasm too. And he goes like, he literally went, took off and ran out somewhere. Anyway, next thing I know, him and his mate are standing to the left of me, but further away. But they were like, they were so shocked that they couldn't scare the old chick, It was hilarious. Anyway, I forgot to put that in my other video, and I need to tell you this because it was just bizarre. But it was almost like, it was just almost funny, It was straight out of a horror movie. And, it's, I had a memory of a former friend years ago when I used to go to Irish Murphy's that said to a guy that I was actually hoping to form a relationship with, he said something like to her, oh, have you been to the Hellfire Club? Oh, that's why I had that memory, because there's a book coming out about the Hellfire Club in Dublin, which I'm thinking about buying, actually. Anyway, this former friend turns to my new casual partner who I just got involved with, and she says, he said, oh, have you been to the Hellfire Club, Tanya? And I really didn't know what that was about. I was actually quite naive in those days, didn't know what the Hellfire Club was about. And anyway, so I went, oh no, where is it? He goes, oh, they meet once a month in Brisbane, blah, blah, blah. And Sarah just turned to him and went, Tanya shits over all those people in the Hellfire Club. And the ex-lover went, what? He was like, and she goes, oh yeah, she says, if we took Tanya there, she said she'd just annihilate them with a look, which is true. And I'm looking, because I have no, what exactly goes on in this Hellfire Club? So she said, oh, it's all BDSM and they're all pathetic and they're all weak. And she said, you would just go in there and just go. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, I've never been, so how would I know? Anyway, I don't know whether she was trying to make me look psycho or trashy or put me down on some level or whatever, but the ex-lover at the time, whose cousin still cycles around me, or did on Friday, Saturday morning, he was so impressed. He was like, she goes, oh, Tanya. She goes, oh, Tanya. She goes, no one fucks with Tanya. Everyone knows that. Which was quite hilarious because at the time I was like, you don't need to advertise my charisma ahead of time. I stand on my own authority, right? So it was a little bit awkward. But yes, so I think I got a taste of that on the early hours of Saturday morning when these two young blokes were trying to scare me by screaming. It's like, you can't get much more heavy metal than that, can you, darling? So I'm just like, I remember my first orgasm too, you know. It was hilarious. I thought I was actually quite witty and funny. But anyway, they ended up being intimidated by that for some weird reason. I don't know why, but probably because they were hoping to, you know, freak me out. So yes, there was that. And then there was the young Asian boy that I sat down with. He actually put his finger down the back of, you know, well, not inside my skirt, but traced it down the back of my bottom crack, you know, the outside of my skirt. And I just turned to him and I said, do that again and there will be violence. And he's like, oh, what violence? Oh, what? But there was a man sitting, like, on the seats, like, he was actually opposite me on the other seat, but he was, like, this close, you know. We were almost touching shoulders, an older man, and he kind of just, he was a bit pissed. But he kind of looked at me and went, what? And I went, so I said, repeated to the young man, I said, you touch me again like that, and there will be violence. And he goes, oh, well, I've already been there now, haven't I? And I was like, I really don't recommend you doing that again. And he's like, oh, can you let me out? I got to go to the toilet or some shit. So I got up, let him out. But they were just so weird. It was like they were all having a bit of a stir up. It's like the night I went there, I think it was late last year, October, November. And there was a young man decided to do a striptease in front of me. He said, I can climb that pole. And I said, I'll pay to see that. So he did. He climbed halfway up the pole. And then he got down, did all these stripper moves in front of me, and then lay down at my feet and pushed his chest out like that. So I just got my boot and I gently positioned it like that on his chest. And he thought his eyes flickered because he thought I was going to actually kick him, which I would never do. Like, I knew we were playing. I knew we were just being playful. Anyway, the security came rushing out and they just looked at me and went, because we were only playing. But yeah, it was a bit more of an insidious, kind of a malevolent edge on Friday, Saturday morning, because they were trying to unhinge me. They were with that woman banging into me, and then finally she got her male friend to press his back against me and keep pushing me with his back, till finally I turned around and said, I will not be intimidated by you. You'll have to get up very early in the morning to even dream about intimidating me. And then, Scottish Carl hanging around behind me at the end. I was like, really? Do I need that level of stress? I'm going there to have a nice time. But the thing that was lovely is my friend Scott, you know, does keep an eye out over me, and he was watching everything that was going on. And he is a lovely man. And anyway, when I blew him a kiss and he blew me back a kiss, I thought that was hilarious, like just sweet and lovely. So, I mean, there's people there that do like me and did make me feel welcome. But yes, it's a strange vibe going out in the night these days. I mean, it's always been a level of potential threat and danger when you're a woman on your own. But they deliberately amp it up to try and intimidate you from going. Like, and who the hell gives them the right to prevent anyone, woman, man, anyone over the age of 18, drinking age, from going out and having a lovely time and dancing, listening to good music? They don't have that right. So I will continue to go out. But I tell you what, their behaviour, it's fuel for my YouTube videos, and it makes a great horror movie. It really does, you know. So, the other weird thing that happened was when I went to the loo. I went twice, had to go twice to the loo during the course of the evening. But the second time I went, went in, shut the door, sat down, did what I had to do. And there's little sinks where you wash your hands. So I was washing my hands. And there was these 3 women screaming, let us in, we're busting. There were 2 other toilets, but they decided to harass me. It was odd. So I opened the door, and these 3 young girls, like early 20s. And I'm like, well, I'm warning you. I said, the toilet is filthy. Someone's peed all over it. I said, don't put your bum down. It's revolting. And they just, I'm desperate. But I was like, it was weird because they were only screaming at me. I was like, why aren't you annoying the other people in the loos? So it was a bit weird. But anyway, that was also probably done deliberately to try and make me feel freaked out too. But it's like, well, everyone has to go to the toilet, demon or angel, in incarnate form. Has to pee, you have to pee. So you have to laugh. It was all a bit, all a bit strange. Anyway, I probably will go again, but I probably won't go I won't go every week like I used to go to the casino weekly. I'll just go when I feel like, and go when my favourite band are playing because I do like them. And I know the crowd's going to be rough and ready every time you go, and I'm going to be in the midst of it because I no longer have my little safe little spot, do I? Which is disappointing, but if the management at the Live Wire wanted to be vicious and petty and crass and immature and low-hung fruit the way they are, well, that's fine. I don't need that shit. I have a life, and I choose where I take my money and spend my time and give my energy. So I think it's it's actually could be a very good thing. I might even meet someone suitable for dating in the Brooklyn Standard or somewhere else. I certainly didn't meet anyone in 12 years of going to the Live Wire bar because they were so incestuous and venal and immature and sabotaging. They badmouthed me to everyone and anyone that showed a bit of interest. It's just putrid is what it was. And I knew that was going on, by the way. I had a suspicion it was going on. I only saw it in full action in front of my face a few months ago, but I knew. I thought it's very odd that in 12 years no one has been, decent enough or honourable enough to go, come on, Tanya, I want to date you. Let's go out somewhere nice. Let's go for an outing, or let's, just be normal. Not in 12 fucking years. So, but I'm free of that now. So you never know what potentialities might blossom like beautiful anemones in the ocean, putting little feelers out. Instead of cycling around me like busy bees being nosy and a bit pathetic, there might be one that actually comes up and goes, oh, you seem lovely. Would you like to dance? Would you like to go out? Are you looking for a partner? Instead of all these lackluster, malfeasant, malcontent, weak, pathetic, malevolent men. Oh, you have to laugh. Anyway, that's my video, and just thought I'd give you the extra details because I was thinking about it this afternoon. I just burst out laughing, triggered by good omens. How ironic. Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm.